really breaks my heart. Cause we've been lied to, misled for years, calling out to the Most High on this trail of tears.
All right, blessed are the peacemakers. Exactly. Blessed are the peacemakers. That's the name of the lesson. The lesson that the elders sit down for today, we did it probably like 2 or 3 times already. But this was the one that I was sent out from last week. But you know, Elder Gabar came, so you know, perfect timing. So blessed are the peacemakers. And the lesson kind of takes an interesting turn because when you read blessed are the peacemakers, you automatically think about, you know, the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5, blessed are ye, so on and so forth, right? But we're going to get into that aspect, but this lesson, the way the elders put it together is very interesting. So Officer Yeshaya, you can lead us off and start reading the commentary with the first intro.
Title of the lesson, Blessed are the Peacemakers. And the commentary reads, it seems as if the world we are currently living in is becoming more chaotic, unstable, and confusing by the second. Whether it's the latest natural disaster that happened, the latest pandemic that is making sick and taking the lives of many, or the latest war or rumor thereof. So many events seem to be taking place that it is getting harder and harder to keep up with them, while at the same time keeping a peace of mind.
Right, because it's like what the scriptures go into the prophecy with Baruch, where there's so many things happening all at once because they're clashing with each other. So when you have headlines, and you know that masters writing the headlines, so when you get headlines talking about rumors of wars, this general died, this base got bombed, X amount of people died from this virus, these people are being quarantined, you know, all this hysteria going on in the world. The question is being asked, like, well, how do you keep a peace of mind with all this chaos going on? And since we know it's these end prophetic times, the chaos is going to get even more heightened. Go ahead, Ike.
What about in our neighborhoods?
Right. So it's another piece to the puzzle. That's just the global aspect. But what about your neighborhood? And for some of us, what about your block? Right? Go ahead.
And communities. With all the injustice, disorder, and lawlessness transpiring, is there any place where we can go in the midst of the chaos to have peace?
Right, so the question is being asked, is there anywhere we can go to find peace? Because we might be able to escape somewhere to a nice restaurant for about 2 hours, but guess what, we gotta go back to reality. So is there a place where we can find peace? And this lesson is going to address it. Yes, there is. There is a place where we can find peace. Go ahead, Ike.
And what is peace?
Right, and what is peace? Because we have to define peace. Because guess what? Peace, and we're going to get it, peace has been packaged for us in the form of a restaurant, in the form of a vacation, in the form of a career or a better neighborhood, quote unquote. In the form of your desires to covet after. But we're going to have to define what peace is, what peace means really for us as followers of Christ in these prophetic times. Go ahead.
And how do we attain it?
Right, and how do we obtain it? Mm-hmm.
We hope to answer these questions and many more with this lesson so that we can have some sense of calmness in the storm as the world around us crumbles and collapses.
Right, and that's pretty deep. So what's the mindset we gotta have? Well, first let's get peace, a definition, right? This from dictionary.com, the word peace.
The word peace, this is the definition. The normal, non-warring condition of a nation, group of nations, or the world. Right,
and quick trivia, how many years of peace has Israel had? Out of the, I don't know, maybe 3,000 years of its existence. 40, right. And when was that? Under King Solomon. So, yeah. So out of you know what, 3 centuries almost, we got 40 years of peace. It's pretty sad, right? Go ahead.
Also, the definition of peace: a state of mutual harmony between people or groups, especially in personal relations.
Right, personal relations. We're going to get into that aspect too. Go ahead.
The normal freedom from civil commotion and violence of a community, public order and security.
Right, and the thing about it too, because this is why we got to define peace, what it means as followers of Christ in prophetic times, because when you think, especially this last, the normal freedom, civil commotion, and violence of the community, public order, and security. What's the world's version of that? Martial law, robots ruling over you, right? We see it all the time. Me and one of the officers was talking about a movie, what's it called, The Feed?
Oh yeah.
Right? And we see it in a lot of different like little sci-fi movies, how they're trying to funnel us into this, what you call the next stage of human evolution, where we're peaceful and, you know, we get upgraded, right? Last one.
Cessation of or freedom from any strife or dissension.
Mm-hmm. And we got a couple more. Go ahead.
Also, freedom of the mind from annoyance, distraction, anxiety, and obsession, etc. Tranquility, serenity, silence, and stillness.
Right, the world got an answer for that too. It's called what you call meditation, Buddhism, Hinduism, all these other different ideas, right? But if you ask a lot of the men what they want most, you will probably get a sounding answer. We want peace. If you just ask a man, what do you value the most? Peace. Like, I just want peace. That's what a lot of men say. I just want peace. I just want peace of mind. But can we obtain that? Go ahead. We got another definition. This is actually the Strong's for, and the commentator later. The commentary is going to explain why this word is in here. But the word is for shalom, or shalom, or shalom. Go ahead.
Strong's Concordance, word number H7999. Shalom, or shalom, a primitive root to be safe in mind, body, or estate, figuratively to be, causatively make, completed by.
Right, so just off this first part of the definition, when we say shalom to each other, and especially Shabbat Shalom, we're actually speaking blessings into each other's lives. It's not just what's up, what's happening, right? We actually blessing each other when we say that. Because remember, Elder Gabar said last week, it's power in words. It's energy, vibrations. You say shalom, especially in the Hebrew language, to a person, hey, they receive that. Like, hey, to be safe in mind, body, or estate. Go ahead, Al.
By implication, to be friendly. By extension, to reciprocate in various applications. Make amends. Make an end. Finish. Full. Give again. Make good. Repay again. Make. To. Be at peace. Peaceable. That is perfect. Perform. Make. Prosper or prosperous. Recompense. Render. Requite. Make restitution. Restore. Reward. Surely.
Right, so that's the definition of shalom. So now, and you know, hey, now we know, like, and it's going to get into it. When we use that word, to use it more, what's it called, consciously, and not just throwing it out there. So let's get the first set of scriptures. We got Galatians chapter 5, verse 16. Remember I said, what's the mindset we got to have? So Galatians chapter 5, verse 16.
Galatians chapter 5, verse 16. Everybody have to say con.
Con.
This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth after the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would.
Right, so if you ever wonder why we might go through periods of anxiety, where we can't think straight, this, that, and the other, it's not because, what the world might tell you. It's actually because, hey, we're dealing with that flesh. And the flesh The flesh is at war with our spirit, so we can't do what we like to, what we know is right. We can't think with that level of clarity. We can't have just clear-cut actions, clear-cut intentions behind our thoughts and behaviors because it's a constant war. There's constant no peace. I'm trying to find the word with no peace is bad. With unpeaceable, I don't know.
Chaos.
We'll find the word. Go ahead, Art.
Verse 18. But if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in times past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High.
Right, and think about that list. It says adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings. That's what happens. You might have good intentions and be a perfect soul, a perfect person, perfect brother, perfect sister, but that's what you call the potential of the flesh. You could be a perfect friend, a perfect neighbor, a perfect member of the body, but just know that's what the potential of the flesh is. So you might not even start nowhere near being that, but that's what the potential is. So that's that war that's going on. Go ahead.
Verse 22, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Verse 26, let us not be desirous of vain glory, provoking one another, envying one another.
Right, so now we got something to weigh against. Okay, we got the fruits of the flesh and the fruits of the Spirit. So now we could have some pictures in our head on how to operate and what to strive for. So let's get Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10.
We at the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 10. Everybody have it? Say con. Verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Most High and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Right, so it's building up the case. Paul is building the case on why we need to have the armor of the Most High on. Go ahead.
Verse 13. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand.
Right, and this is in the middle of this whole section. We know this section well. But this verse is real key. It says, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day. And we definitely in that evil day, having done all to stand. So that's why it's important, hey, and this evil day, these prophetic times, to be able to done all to stand. So put on the armor, go ahead.
Verse 14. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about you with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints.
Right. And let's do Matthew 10 and 16. Just real quick.
Going to Matthew 10 and 16. Verse 16, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves.
So Christ says, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Go ahead.
Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves.
Right, so remember before we went into these few scriptures, like what's the mindset? So we're searching for peace, we're striving for peace in a world of chaos, of plagues, famine, wars, rumors of wars, of destruction. The elders had went into like how, remember it was the beginning portion when he was going into the coronavirus and brought out that book, the Mosaic Law of Science and things like that. It was something like that. But remember, Elder Lloyd was like, hey, if you keep God's law, this keeps you shielded from destruction, from plagues, things like that. So just know that too, like, hey, the armor of the Most High, this is what's going to protect us as we're among wolves, right? As we're among this chaos, trying to find peace. So where would the commentary?
The commentary reads, one of the most used words in the Hebrew language is the word shalom or shalom. After coming into the understanding of Israel being our nationality, it is a term that is said more than any other amongst Israelites. But when we say peace, do we really mean it? Because saying peace and operating in the spirit of peace are two different things.
Right, so that's why the elders went to make sure we define shalom. So now we understand, because you figure the Most High's word created what we see today. And that Hebrew language, that's what he used to create what we see today. So it's spirits behind words. It's a spiritual thing. So that word shalom is spiritual. And guess what? We got to live up to that. So if we're going to say shalom, we got to make sure we're living in peace in our lives as well. Go ahead.
Peace is not only part of the fruit of the Spirit, but it is part of the armor of the Most High.
Right. So as we arm ourselves and put on the armor, that is peace. Go ahead.
We must recognize that we are not wrestling against people in our everyday, day-to-day lives as much as we are operating against evil, invisible forces, unseen, that are warring against us. We also have to keep in mind the spiritual battle before us, so that in this walk, we can truly prepare ourselves to walk with the gospel of peace and not fall victim to the works of the flesh.
Right, and this is where the lesson kind of takes a turn that I didn't expect. Right? Because when we think of among wolves, all these terrible things that the people are going to do to us, we usually say the world, the nations, the Gentiles, the evil Gentiles, right? Old man, wicked Esau, right? But the story goes deeper. There's more to the story. There's more to the story why we don't have peace. Because we'll be quick to blame those people who are given a time to oppress us. We don't look at why we're being oppressed and why we don't have peace and whose fault is it really. So when it talks about being among wolves, who was Christ talking to? That was a real question. Who was Christ talking to? He was talking to the disciples who were Israelites, who were Hebrews in the land of Judea, not somewhere else in the land of Chinese, talking about the Chinese people. We understand that, right? Right. So let's get Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 9. And it's fitting too, because if you watch Blog Talk, what the elder go into, about that, well, another part of that case study, that the man noticed when we were left alone. Remember, he started off with molestation. The man noticed when we were left alone, wickedness was there. So that's something we got to be aware of. And know the history, know our history, what actually happened. Because you got careers that's been dedicated to explain scientifically, according to sociology, all these different ologies, about how Esau made us the way we are. But not the scriptures describe it very well. Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 9.
Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 9. The wise men are ashamed, they are dismayed and taken. Lo, they have rejected the word of the Most High, and what wisdom is in them?
Right, so there it is. The wise men are ashamed. They rejected the wisdom. They rejected the wisdom of the Most High. Go ahead.
Therefore will I give their wives unto others, and their fields to them that shall inherit them. For everyone from the least even unto the greatest is given to covetousness. From the prophet even unto the priest, everyone dealeth falsely.
Right. And remember, in our culture, the priest, that's the highest. So even the priest down to the low man, everyone deal falsely. Everyone is given to covetousness. Go ahead.
For they have healed the hurt of the daughter of my people slightly, saying, peace, peace, where there is no peace.
Right. That's what was said to us back then. That's the same that's being said to us now. Go ahead.
Were they ashamed when they had committed abomination? No, they were not at all ashamed, neither could they blush. Therefore shall they fall among them that fall. In the time of their visitation they shall be cast down, saith the Most High. I will surely consume them, saith the Most High. There shall be no grapes on the vine, nor figs on the fig tree.
So now we're getting into the consequences. Now we're getting into what's going to happen, what's going to be the punishment. Go ahead.
And the leaf shall fade, and the things that I have given them shall pass away from them. Why do we sit still? Assemble yourselves, and let us enter into the fenced cities, and let us be silent there. For the Most High our power hath put us to silence, and given us water to gall to drink, because we have sinned against the Most High. We looked for peace, but no good came, and for a time of health, and behold, trouble.
Right. So let's get moving along. Ezekiel chapter 7, verse 22. And me being an Israelite man, right, because this is just what's in our DNA, I still try to find a way to explain this off. But then looking at this lesson, like, no, you can't explain this off. Because I was reading the book, telling my wife about it. Lerone Bennett, if you want a good history book, get this book. Lerone Bennett Jr., Before the Mayflower. It's a lot of names, a lot of times, a lot of dates, events that we probably just don't really know about. And he has a few other books that's real good. But anyway, he was explaining how during the Reconstruction, how a lot of blacks was getting into politics, that whole thing. We all know that. And that the white Southerners started putting a lot of shame on them, started creating propaganda. So when we hear things like, you know, the crooked black politician, the crooked black clergyman, things like that, I'm like, well, did it start back then? And I'm building this whole conspiracy, you know, start taking notes and trying to figure out the research behind it. But no, it is what it is. It's right here. It started in Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, right? Granted, the Southerners did put some propaganda out there, but this was in us. This is what's in our heart, to exploit the people. So let's get Ezekiel chapter 7, verse 22.
Ezekiel 7 and 22. My face will I turn also from them, and they shall pollute my secret place, for the robber shall enter into it and defile it. Make a chain, for the land is full of bloody crimes, and the city is full of violence. Wherefore I will bring the worst of the heathen, and they shall possess their houses. I will also make the pomp of the strong to cease, and their holy places shall be defiled.
Right, and check that out. It says, verse 24, wherefore I will bring the worst of the heathen, and they shall possess their houses. I will also make the pomp of the strong to cease, and their holy places shall be defiled. So when it says the worst of the heathen, meaning a highly aggressive, warlike nation, no mercy, no prisoners, just utter destruction, utter conquest. That's what happens. So we could break down all the different tactics about Willie Lynch and his whole game, but hey, we brought it on ourselves. We are.
Destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and there shall be none. Mischief shall come upon mischief, and rumor shall be upon rumor. Then shall they seek a vision of the prophet, but the law shall perish from the priest, and counsel from the ancients.
And what does that sound like? Sound like Proverbs. I shall laugh, you shall seek me early. You will try to seek me, but I'll laugh at your calamity. Go ahead.
The king shall mourn, and the prince shall be clothed with desolation, and the hands of the people of the land shall be troubled. I will do unto them after their way, and according to their deserts will I judge them, and they shall know that I am the Most High.
Right, and it makes me think too, this is just me talking. This isn't gospel or anything. But when it says, mischief shall come upon mischief, and rumor shall be upon rumor, then shall they seek a vision of the prophet, but the law shall perish from the priests and counsel from the ancients. It makes me think about how the prophets will prophesy lies on purpose during the time with Christ, before 70 AD happened. Remember that? When the prophets would prophesy lies just to keep the people there. And it kind of reminds me of today. Like, we see the destruction, but we get all types of books, all types of lectures, all types of different religions and ideas that we go into, with whether it's YouTube or go to some different bookstore, whatever the case may be. But we're missing the mark, we're missing the law. That's how we get out of it. Go ahead, Doc.
We're going to the book of Isaiah 59:1. Isaiah 59:1. Isaiah 59:1. Everyone have to say con? Behold, the Most High's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save, neither his ear heavy, that it cannot hear.
Excuse me, now check this out. The first verse just sets the tone. It says, behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save. So don't think God isn't able to save us out of this condition, that he lost some type of might out of his hand. Neither is his ear heavy, that it cannot hear. He hears the cries, he hears the prayers. But what happened?
But your iniquities have separated between you and your power, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear.
And one thing about the ancient world, the world that today they call primitive, right, and superstitious. If you watch the movies or do some type of, watch any type of documentary, the second the earthquake happened, they say, you know what, we need to sacrifice to our God. A famine hits, you know what, we need to sacrifice to our God. And it makes me think, no wonder Ezekiel said, no wonder the Most High told Ezekiel, if I had given this to another nation, they would have got it right away. The crops go bad. Oh, we got to sacrifice. We're not appeasing our God good enough. Any little thing. It stormed 3 days in a row, flooded the crops. You know what? The gods, they're mad at us. They get it right away. We got to come back to that type of mindset. Like, you know what? Let's just look outside. Let's come back to our God. Go ahead.
Verse 3. For your hands are defiled with blood, and your fingers with iniquity. Your lips have spoken lies, your tongue hath muttered perverseness. None calleth for justice, nor any pleadeth for truth. They trust in vanity and speak lies. They conceive mischief and bring forth iniquity. They hatch cockatrice eggs and weave the spider's web. He that eateth of their eggs dieth. and that which is crushed breaketh out into a viper. Their web shall not become garments, neither shall they cover themselves with their works. Their works are works of iniquity, and the acts of violence is in their hands. Their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are thoughts of iniquity. Wasting and destruction are in their paths. The way of peace they know not, and there is no judgment in their goings. They have made them crooked paths. Whosoever goeth therein shall not know peace.
Right, it says, verse 8, reading again from the top, it says, the way of peace, they know not, and there is no judgment in their goings. And that's the thing about Israel. That was our whole main purpose, to be righteous judges. But judgment is not in their goings. That made them crooked paths. Whosoever goeth therein shall not know peace. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Therefore is judgment far from us, neither doth justice overtake us. We wait for light, but behold obscurity, for brightness, but we walk in darkness. We grope.
Now, what does this sound like? we read a lot on Saturday afternoons, the men. Go ahead.
We grope for the wall like the blind, and we grope as if we had no eyes. We stumble at noonday as in the night. We are in desolate places as dead men.
That's how you know these scriptures are linked together. Because this man is quoting one of the curses that Moses told us about. So you see how, like in the times, how they communicate with each other? Because in that world, they know these scriptures. So they're going to refer back to the scripture like, hey, this is it happening right here. Just like if we communicate to each other to relate to the times. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 11. We roar all like bears and mourn sore like doves. We look for judgment, but there is none, for salvation, but it is as far off from us. For our transgressions are multiplied before thee, and our sins testify against us. For our transgressions are with us, and as for our iniquities, we know them. In transgressing and lying against the Most High, and departing away from our power, speaking oppression and revolt, conceiving and uttering from the heart words of falsehood.
Right, moving along, let's get Hosea chapter 4, verse 1. And this scripture is very interesting. I'm going to tell you why I want you to read it. And the scripture is interesting because it gets abused, right?
We at Hosea chapter 4, verse 1. Everyone have it, say con. Hear the word of the Most High.
Right. Hear the word of the Lord.
Ye children of Israel, for the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of the Most High in the land.
That scripture gets shouted every Saturday, accusing Babylon. It don't matter what church it is, what camp, what group, it gets shouted every Saturday. Do we not have the common sense to know the context of this scripture that is talking about the inhabitants of Israel, not the inhabitants of Babylon? Right? It says, hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel. For the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. Go ahead.
Verse 2. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood touches blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish.
Right, and therefore shall the land mourn. And if you want to know how the land mourns, it's for real. Read Baruch, the 4th chapter. Baruch in the Apocrypha, the 4th chapter. Because guess what? Me and one of the officers, Officer Yatai, was talking about one of the other prophecies, how the land will rejoice and get its life back. But guess what? The land will also mourn. Go ahead.
And everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. Yet let no man strive, nor reprove another, for thy people are they that strive with the priests. Therefore shalt thou fall in the day, and the prophet also shall fall with thee in the night, and I will destroy thy mother. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I will also forget thy children.
Right. And it says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. So let's go ahead to Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. And it's something to think about. If that's what's sown in us, to reject knowledge, that's something, just in our personal times, we can go home, think about in what ways have we personally rejected knowledge. Because I know sometimes I might, before I go to bed or when the house kind of died down, I'll sit on the couch and kind of just replay my day. That's a perfect thing to do, a perfect exercise. Like, hey, did I reject knowledge today?
We need Apocrypha, the book of Baruch, chapter 3, verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power.
Right. And one thing that I like to say, like one-on-one conversations, if the conversation goes this way, it says, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for reproach and a curse. Now, I was watching, if anybody is privy or knows who Claude Anderson is, he's big on black economics, that whole thing, right? But one thing about him, he's a real good historian. He has a date for everything and a law for everything. Like, if you want to learn some history, just listen to Claude Anderson. But one of his interviews, he was saying how he was speaking to a Chinese man, and the Chinese man told him, you know why I don't like black people? Because they beg. They don't demand anything. And he spoke to somebody else from another nation, and he said the same thing. And one thing I like to say is, have you ever had a best friend or a mate that you looked up to, or an older brother, and saw them get beat up? I did. Not a big brother, but a best friend who I looked up to. And I saw him get pounded in his face, and I was like, if he's getting beat up, what? I'm like, the world has crashed. I'm like, well, what now? You know what I'm saying? What happens when Big Brother Esau gets destroyed? We gonna try to mosey on over to other countries like, please take us? That's why we're reproach and a curse until we stand on our own feet. Con? Right, let's get it.
Chapter 9, verse 9. Hear, Israel, the commandments of life. Give ear to understanding wisdom. How happeneth it, Israel, that thou art in thine enemy's land, that thou art waxing old in a strange country, that thou art defiled with the dead, that thou art counted with them that go down into the grave. Thou hast forsaken the fountain of wisdom. For if thou hast walked in the way of thy power, thou shouldest have dwelt in peace forever. Learn where is wisdom, where is strength, where is understanding, that thou may know also where is the length of days and life, where is the light of the eyes and peace.
Right, so let's get the commentary.
The commentary reads, when you look at the black communities and neighborhoods, peace is probably the last thought that comes to your mind. With the rebellion and disobedience put forth by the generations of old, it has left our community cursed and the confusion leading to the chaos that is going out in our neighborhoods. Crime is at an all-time high in the ghettos across the world, and the lawlessness only seems to wax worse from one day to the next.
We're in the lesson. Check this out.
Cities like Chicago are infamously given names like Chirac and murder capital of the world because of the warlike environment that exists here. Will there ever be peace in the black community?
Right. Does anybody know why Chicago got the nickname Chirac? I think I heard Brother Michael Oliver said, because it was more murders here than, yeah, exactly.
Wow, 2011.
Mm-hmm. And we all privy that what you call Chicago has been the murder capital of the world quite a few times. Quite a few times. Right. And I remember it was 2010. I want to say it was 2010 or 09, one of them. It was the Chicago Tribune, and it said the 25 worst neighborhoods in America. 5 of them was in Chicago. I'm like, wow. So, hey, that gives us some motivation. We got work to do. We have work to do. You got something? Oh, okay. Right, but so we went over how, the oppression, the lack of peace, the chaos, right? We brought it on to ourselves, but to add injury, or what is it, insult to injury, we also have world leaders and our own leaders that make us think that we're in a good situation, that there is peace. So it's like a catch-22 thing going on. So let's get 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 1.
We have 1 Thessalonians 5 and 1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Most High so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
Right, so it says, we have people, leaders in our communities. It says, when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. And it travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So just like how a woman cannot escape their labor pain, like it's impossible. It is laws of nature. Right. You shall not escape. You won't escape from this destruction, even though they're trying to say peace. So just know, peace, peace. There is no peace. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 1. And it's like they're getting desperate. They really are. They used to just be able to just roll anybody out. Give them a ready-made speech. But now they know that more people are waking up, so it's like the antics and the drama behind it. They got to put them on CNN now. They got to put them on MSNBC. Al Sharpton has to have his own, TV show on MSNBC. All these different things. Go ahead.
Jeremiah 30 and 1. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Most High, saying, thus speaketh the power of Israel, saying, write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, saith the Most High, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Most High. And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. And these are the words that the Most High spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah.
Right. So it says that basically there is light at the end of the tunnel. We'll get brought into our land, but something has to happen first. Go ahead.
For thus saith the Most High, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace.
Right. So the days of calamity have to happen first. Go ahead.
As ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child.
Right. So we already know that men do not get pregnant. They don't have children, and they don't experience labor pains. But I think it's been scientifically proven that that's some of the most excruciating pain there is known to man. And that's the type of pain and look and countenance that men are going to experience in these days. So ask ye now, and see whether a man do a travail with child. Go ahead.
Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all the faces are turned into paleness.
Right, and have you ever seen, like, I think like in the cartoons, and even little kids, if you notice, like they kind of ball up and they kind of cover their loins. That's what it's talking about. Because I don't know if it's been proven somewhere, it probably has, but it's just something in the mind where, you know, when you just lose all your might, you just coil up into like the fetal position, you cover your loins. That's how the men are going to be. Go ahead.
Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it.
Right, so that none is like it.
It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it.
But he shall be saved out of it. Just like how instantly that pain just leaves with the woman. She forgets it. I don't know. Okay, it's been confirmed. They forget it, right? They forget it, and the pain just ceases immediately. So it's the same thing. He shall be saved out of it. We shall be saved out of it. Go ahead. We got 2 Ezra chapter 16, verse 17.
We in the Apocrypha, 2 Ezra chapter 16, verse 17. Everyone have to say, Con? Woe is me, woe is me. Who would deliver me in those days?
Right, so it says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? What days? Go ahead.
The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Because
it's going to be apparent that in those days, in those prophetic times, that you're going to need to be saved out of it. There's going to be a time when you realize, all right, enough with the YouTube with Kimmy. This ain't helping me out. Enough with my books on my bookshelf. This ain't helping me out. I can only think so much, right? It's going to be a time, this is what I'm talking about, that praise and worship. It's going to be a time when you realize, okay, I got to start praising my God, appreciating my God, serving my God. How else? Because this situation I'm in, I'm going to need to be saved out of it. But who? Right, go ahead.
Verse 19. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment.
For amendment. That's a powerful word. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Go ahead.
But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness.
Now, it might seem strange to us, but what do we see outside? We see the world turns. The liquor store is still going to be packed tonight, right? And it's cold, but you still find a way. The people still going to be lined outside the door in the cold. People still going to find a way because, hey, guess what? Just like how Elder Ricard went into it not yesterday, on Blog Talk, how we'll be in denial, like, no, he didn't molest you. You know, I'm not, the coronavirus, Iran, Marshall, no, that stuff isn't real because I'm too addicted to my flesh. So it's a mindset that we might not understand, but remember it was a time we was in it. So this place we're in right now, we might not be able to understand that mindset, but best believe it is real. That mindset is real and got the minds of a lot of people. Go ahead.
The rest of verse 20. Nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case.
And right, this is a dangerous thing right here. It says, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And I know we like to go into like the sales and things like that, but just also just think about how things are available. Because if you think about it, like a lot of things, they're making more available because there might be breakthroughs in technology and breakthroughs the way things get made and shipped faster or produced quicker, produced with cheaper labor, things like that. So it allows those shelves to be filled. And you would think you're in good case. And I was telling my wife yesterday, I heard a powerful message yesterday from a man from Russia. And he was like, in the 90s, he was like, we had money, but we couldn't buy anything because it wasn't on the shelves. He said, I'll have to drive just to try to get some bread because I might not have it tomorrow. He said, I had to go to the forest to pick mushrooms because there was no meat and I got a 1-year-old kid. Because he was explaining like how he just don't understand the mindset of Americans, how we don't appreciate things and not willing to work and things like that. And we got one of the elders shaking their head. Yep. So that's just a sidebar. But go ahead.
Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth.
Right, that's what I'm going with. Right, because with things, when they're on the ship, when the shelves are stocked, that's part of the illusion too. When you can just grab, you're blinded to realize, hey, in reality, this thing is about to blow. But the shelves being stocked, and this is a very interesting man. I talk about this man a lot. His mindset is just different. It's different. But now I understand more about him, like why he talks the way he talks, why he thinks the way he thinks, why he's so knowledgeable about it in this industry, in this field. I just thought like, man, maybe he just has some master studying skills. No, he's just driven with a different motivation because he came from that. So, hey, in America, we have been spoiled. So we got to start preparing our minds for when the shelves do start to get a little empty. And we might not even notice. It might just happen so slowly and realize, like, wait a minute. Gas is $3.50 now. Wait a minute, gas is $5 now. Because I sure didn't notice it when gas was all of a sudden $2.50, and I'm like, wait a minute, wasn't it just $5? Yeah, I go when gas was $5. Yeah. But it just happened so quick. So you see how things just kind of happen under our nose when we're just kind of, our mind is somewhere else? Go ahead.
And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. The commentary reads, not only is the black community seeking peace and justice in their oppressed state, but the nation of the earth also are seeking peace. However, the rulers of darkness, the governments that rule over us, have given us a false sense of peace, all while they are creating and causing more wars and turmoil in the earth.
Right. So right up under our noses, and we always know, hey, when it's that holiday time, that's when the most stuff gets rolled out. When it's the holiday time, that's when the stuff gets rolled out. You got all kind of laws. You come back to work like, wait, what? People talk about, hey, did you hear about this? Well, when did that happen? It was probably on C-SPAN. So, hey, if y'all got C-SPAN, watch some C-SPAN. A lot of interesting things happen on C-SPAN. Do we know what C-SPAN is? It's that channel that we don't ever turn to in the hundreds. When it's just some boring people on some stage talking, there's stuff in the ticker at the bottom. That's C-SPAN, okay? A lot of public policies happen in C-SPAN. Right, go ahead.
Because of Israel's fall, the whole world has fallen into a corrupted state. So as the world continues to call for and seek peace, prophecies let us know that we will continue to spiral into great tribulation and confusion. But is there a way for us to obtain peace in our day-to-day lives presently?
Right, so the elders are asking, is there a way for us to obtain peace? Go ahead.
And also in the future as things get worse.
Right, so is there a way? Well, guess what? The elders laid out some practical plans through the Spirit. So step one, let's get Psalm chapter 119, verse 160. And they kind of laid out 3 different areas we can roll with on how to obtain peace and how to be, make sure we're still under the Most High's hedge protection. So we're in Psalms 119, 160. And if you ever get the chance, read this book in its entirety, Psalms chapter 119. Very interesting, very interesting. You kind of understand David's mindset.
Everyone have to say, Con? Psalms 119, verse 160. Thy word is true from the beginning, and every one of thy righteous judgments endureth forever.
Right. And let's think of something very practical. The Most High began time with his word. So of course his word is true from the beginning. His judgment endureth forever because he created the beginning with his word. So if there's anything we ever want to rely on and lean on, it will be his word, especially in these prophetic times. Go ahead, Art.
Princes have persecuted me without a cause, but my heart standeth in awe of thy word. I rejoice at thy word, as one that findeth great spoil. I hate and abhor lying, but thy law do I love. 7 times a day do I praise thee because of thy righteous judgments.
Okay, here we get in somewhere. Go ahead.
Great peace
Great peace. Go ahead.
have they which love the law, and nothing shall offend them.
Right, so now we're getting it. It's the law. Step 1, the law. Love his word, love his wisdom, love his law. We have Proverbs chapter 3, verse 1.
Going over to Proverbs chapter 3, verse 1. Everyone have to say, Con? My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life,
Length of days and long life, and what else?
and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon thy table of thine heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of the Most High and man.
Right, so it says, my son, forget not my law. Proverbs, we're still in chapter 3, skip down to verse 13.
Skipping down to verse 13. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom.
Right, happy is that man. So Elijah will tell you, if you find an unhappy man, he's not dwelling with wisdom. He's stuck in that war between the flesh and the spirit. Unstable in all his ways. Go ahead, Art.
And the man that getteth understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain therefore than fine gold. Verse 15. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things that canst desire are not to be compared unto her. Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace.
Right, all her paths are peace. In verse 15, she is more precious than rubies. So all the things that we could get in this material world, guess what? Wisdom is more precious than that. And it's a lot of value. It's a lot of value. Well, 1 ounce of gold is, think about $1,100. 1 ounce of silver is about, what, $16, $15? A lot of value putting on that. What's the other commodities? Oil, all that other stuff. But guess what? What they call real wealth in today? But guess what? It's wisdom. Because why? Wisdom should be the stability of our times. Let's get the commentary.
The commentary reads, by keeping the law of the Most High is how we have peace with him, therefore granting us peace in our lives. We read earlier how the sins of our ancestors caused us to be cursed and live in confusion, so we must now do the exact opposite and come back to the covenant that was broken if we hope to attain peace with the Most High. But it's not just the law alone that we must keep in order to have peace.
Right. Plot twist. It's another piece of the story, but let's get that again. I like this commentary. It says, by keeping the law of the Most High is how we have peace with him, therefore granting us peace in our lives. Now, key sentence right here. We read earlier how the sins of our ancestors caused us to be cursed and live in confusion. So that's why we gotta know our history and know like how we fit, we gotta know how we fit into the world and the world affairs and what's really going on around us. Because the rest of the nation, they know. that whole body of Asia, they know the ancient word, the ancient names of the tribes, the territories, who's been at war with who. The Middle East, they know the same thing. Africa, they know the same thing. Europe, they know the same thing. And then just white people, no, they're families of Europeans who know their history. It's not just Chinese and Japanese, it's families and territories and kingdoms and dynasties and tribes that they're handed down. And they know their history. They know who war with who took over who. So when we know our history, our ancestry, and it's crazy because you would literally think we just got plopped into this world when slavery happened. It's like, it's so hard for my mind to fathom anything before that. I know it happened. You got records, you got books. But it is hard, like, okay, yeah, it was something that happened before slavery. Try it out, see how hard it is. You're gonna stretch your imagination. Try it out. Where we at? Right. Next set of scriptures, remember it says, but it's not just the law alone, but we must keep in order to have peace. Any guesses?
One was the law. What's the next?
Faith. We on to something. Who's the author and finisher of our faith? Boom. Right. Let's get Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11. And and it's crazy how these lessons get put together because, like, within this context, I'll let look at these scriptures a little different, especially Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11.
Everybody have it? Say con. Ephesians 2 and 11. Wherefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands.
Right, so let's examine that. Wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh. So, I know we'll go into a whole different direction with this scripture right here, usually, because we're breaking down Christianity and things like that. But that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, what does that mean in the context of this scripture? I mean this lesson. Like in that flesh. Like your mindset, your behaviors. And think about how that's contrary to what we need to do to gain peace with the Most High again. Think about that. Go ahead.
Verse 12. That at the time that ye were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel.
Right, once again, you were without Christ, you were without that faith, you were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. Because we was in destruction, chaos, under bondage, being punished. So we were aliens. Because you gotta think about it, like, yeah, we could break these scriptures down and show how Paul was talking to Israelites, but it's deeper. The lesson is deeper than that. Because aren't we Gentiles? Didn't we start off as Gentiles? Within the same context that Paul is speaking about these Gentiles, we were so-called Americans. Said the Pledge of Allegiance every day in school, remember? We had that all-American pride. Baseball, apple pie, and hot dogs, right? But no, more was required of us. That's when we were aliens to the Commonwealth of Israel. Now we know who we are. We're taking on Christ. We're taking on that law again. Now wait, that's mine. That book is mine. Let me learn. Let me figure it out. Go ahead,
And strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope, and without the Most High in the world. But now in Christ Yeshua, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Christ. For he is our peace, who have made both one, and have broken down the middle wall of partition between us, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments contained in ordinances.
Right, and that enmity, now that enmity, that malignant root, that's been abolished through Christ. Or it can be abolished through Christ, so we choose. Go ahead.
For to make in himself of twain one new man, so making peace, and that he might reconcile both unto...
And not to get too deep off on the deep end, because where else can you find enmity in the scriptures? Exactly. Because guess what? I forget what scripture is, if any of the fellas got it for me, or sisters too. Where you become sons of the living God by following Christ. Remember that? Because even though we got the academy, I explained how the serpent does have his physical seed, but guess what? He got a spiritual seed too, doing his will. So here, this is how we decide which seed we want to be. Whether we want to be sons of the living God, the living power, or sons of the serpent. Go ahead.
Verse 16, and that he might reconcile both unto the Most High in one body by the cross, having slain the enmity thereby, and came and preached peace to you which were afar off, and to them that were nigh. For through him we both have access.
And I know I keep stopping. But and then preaching peace. And it's another thing. Like, we'll think he came and preached peace. Peace be unto you, brother. Floating, peace. No, he's giving you the keys to understand how to get out your destruction. That's what the peace is. Now somebody's actually preaching peace to us. Like, oh, I get it now. Before they was preaching lies to us, smooth words. Now we're getting peace taught to us. How to get that peace. How to come back to the Father. Okay, I get it now. Thank you, Christ. Finally, somebody. Go ahead,
Verse 18, for through him we both have access by one Spirit unto the Father. Now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and of the household of the Most High.
And check these next few scriptures out. Now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and of the household of God. Verse 20.
And are built upon the foundations of the apostles and prophets, Christ Yeshua himself being the chief cornerstone.
Right. So that foundation was built by the apostles and the prophets, and Christ being the chief cornerstone. We're getting built up on that foundation once we accept it. Once we accept that peace, like, oh, this is what peace is. Okay, let me apply it to my life now. Stop telling, I had enough of the smooth things. It was good, it felt good while it lasted. But you know what? I keep looking outside the window, and this is what smooth words got me. Go ahead.
Verse 21, in whom all the building fitly framed together groweth unto an holy temple in the Most High, in whom ye also are builded together for an habitation of the Most High through the Spirit.
Right. In whom all the building fitly framed together groweth into a holy temple in the Lord. That's the kingdom of heaven. That's the church of Christ. Jointly fit together. Where else is it jointly fit together? Where else do we find those words? Jointly fit together, Ephesians 4. Talking about one mind, one body, for the perfection of the saints. Go ahead.
We're going to Colossians 1 and 15, the book of Colossians, chapter 1, verse 15. Everyone have it, say con.
No.
Who is the image of the invisible power, the firstborn of every creature? For by him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether there be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. And he is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence.
Who is the beginning? Now that's deep. Who is the beginning? And we always say, in our conversations with men, we always value like the beginning, like the source. Like, well, if this person taught that person, let me see what they was talking about. I think me and Kasai was talking about a lot. Like, man, if what we was talking about, like Garvey was influenced by Booker T, let's see what Booker T was talking about, and so on and so forth. If Booker T was influenced by Frederick Douglass, let's see what he was talking about. You find your ways just going back. Because that's what the value is. So, hey, Christ is the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning. Christ. Go ahead.
Verse 19. For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell, and having made peace through the blood of his cross, by him to reconcile all things unto himself. By him, I say, whether there be things in earth or things in heaven. Verse 21. And you that were sometime alienated.
Now get this. This is where it comes back down. Gentiles in your flesh. Read it from the top again, 21.
And you that were sometime alienated and enemies in your mind by wicked works.
Enemies in your mind. That's where it starts. You were enemies in your mind first. That's where it starts. You were alienated because you was enemies in your mind, because everything starts in your mind. You're not your body. You're your mind. And guess what? The body serves the mind, whether for righteousness or wickedness. Whether for the fruits of the spirit or the fruits of the flesh. Go ahead,
That were sometime alienated and enemies in your mind by wicked works, yet now have he reconciled.
And not one of the same man who wrote this wrote also, be renewed, by the reforming and renewing of your mind. Go ahead.
Verse 22. In the body of his flesh through death, to present you holy and unblameable and unreprovable in his sight. If ye continue in the faith, grounded and settled, and be not moved away from the hope of the gospel which ye have heard, and which was preached to every creature which is under heaven, whereof I, Paul, am made a minister.
Mm-hmm. So let's get down to Romans chapter 10, verse 13.
We have Romans 10 and 13. Everyone have to say, Con. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Most High shall be saved.
Right. So it says, and we hear this all the time. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Right? And we hear it with such poetic and melody in the voice too, the same way. We hear it, in the Bible studies and books, speeches, motivational speeches, the sermons, all that stuff. But it's a practical use to the scripture. Now we didn't have this lesson, right? Because if we call on that name, we get peace. Next scripture.
Verse 14. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed?
Right. And remember the context of this time that Paul is speaking about. To the Gentiles who were alienated from the Commonwealth. I know that's when he was speaking to the men and women in Ephesus, but it's the same thing. Us being scattered around. Being enemies in our mind. It's a lot of things at play when you look at the history. Then you got the men who's trying to stick to tradition. And everybody see what you call Elder Lawyer's shirt. Truth over tradition. Right? So how then shall they call upon in whom they have not believed? We believed in that goat more than our Savior. And when I say goat, I mean sacrifice. Now we believe in the we believe in this more than Christ now. Okay, Creflo. Take it, it's yours. Okay, Joel Osteen, take it, it's yours. But we haven't been taught the truth of Christ. It's the truth about Christ that's not being taught in this world. That's why I say, unto this gospel we spread across the four corners of the earth. That true peace, what the peace really is. What is it, Luke 1, verse 67 through 72? Read that when you get your chance. Very powerful scriptures about what it meant for us in those times when the Messiah will finally come. Go ahead, Al.
And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? Verse 15. And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. But they have not all obeyed the gospel. For Isaiah said, Lord, who have believed our report?
Right, it says, for they have not all obeyed the gospel. Because guess what? It's a different requirement once you start stepping into the realm of the gospel. Different things are required of you now if you want to step into that realm. That's why faith has to be applied. Because it takes a lot of faith to believe that I don't want to give it away for the rest of the lesson, but it takes a lot of faith for me to understand that me being a good brother and a good friend to this man next to me is going to be the key to the kingdom of heaven, and that's not sacrificing and not keeping the law to the letter. That actually takes a lot of faith, because the easy thing to do is for me to just keep avoiding this brother, keep avoiding him, keep it short with him. That's real easy. The hard work, I just blew away the last of the lessons. That's all good. But that's the hard work. That's the work of the gospel. Go ahead, Art.
Verse 17. So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of the Most High. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, verily. Their sound went into all of the earth, and their words unto the ends of the world.
Mm-hmm. So let's get Romans chapter 5, verse 1.
Going over to Romans 5 and 1. Everybody have it, say con. Therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with the Most High through our Lord Christ Yeshua, by whom also we have access by faith into the grace wherein we stand, and rejoice in the glory of the Most High. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience.
Right, so we have access by faith. We have access into that peace that's to come by faith. Not just because we're the sons and daughters of Abraham. Go ahead, Art.
And patience, experience, and experience hope. And hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of the Most High is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Spirit which is given unto us.
Right, and hope is making not ashamed. And that's very deep, because sticking with the trend of blessed be the peacemakers, I'm going to read this real quick. This is Sirach chapter 4, verse 21. We'll go back to verse 20. It says, observe the opportunity, and beware of evil, and be not ashamed when it concerneth thy soul. For there is a shame that bringeth sin, and there is a shame which is glory and grace. What's one of the most shameful things you can go through? And it's not even all that big. Admitting you're wrong. admitting that you transgressed against your brother or sister. Becoming a peacemaker. Go ahead up.
The commentary reads, we must also have faith in Christ as he is our peace and solidifies the peace we have with the Most High. Earlier we read that we must have the law, as the law is the schoolmaster that brings us unto Christ.
So the law, we master the law first, the fundamentals, but that's a schoolmaster to bring us to the level of mastery where we could, okay, I can accept Christ. I know where Christ came now. I know where he fits into everything. I know how he fulfills the law. And now I can switch gears now. Go ahead. Because my obedience has been mastered now. Go ahead.
We have to walk in peace, being a light to the world with the truth and delivering the gospel of peace to those who are seeking and searching for it. And it's this gospel that must go unto the four corners to be preached unto every creature under heaven before the end will come. We will not be able to walk with this gospel to teach it if we are not walking with peace and wisdom.
And to show you how chaotic this world is, when you teach the true gospel, you get labeled a terrorist. You get labeled loony and crazy. You get labeled as, oh, you're following a cult. No, I'm preaching peace. Right? We all been through it some way or form. So let's get the final stage. Moving into the final stage of getting that peace is how we got to operate with each other, right? So let's get Zechariah chapter 8, verse 13.
We have Zechariah 8:13. And it shall come to pass that as ye were accursed among the heathen, O house of Judah and house of Israel, so will I save you, and ye shall be a blessing. Fear not, but let your hands be strong.
Right, so we'll be turned from a cursing into a blessing. Go ahead.
For thus says the Lord of hosts, as I thought to punish you when your fathers provoked me to wrath, says the Lord of hosts, and I repented not. So again have I thought in these days to do well unto Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. Fear ye not.
So what is the Most High? So what's the underlying message right there? He's proven how his word stands. He's proven that he sticks by his word. His word doesn't come back void. So the same way that through his word that he said will be punished, the same thing, hey, just like I thought to punish you, I thought the same way to redeem you and bring you back. Go ahead.
Verse 16, these are the things that ye shall do.
These are the things that ye shall do.
Speak ye every man the truth to his neighbor. Execute the judgment of truth and peace in your gates. And let none of you imagine evil in your hearts against his neighbor, and love no false oath. For all these are things that I hate, said the Lord.
So let's get Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 4. And once again, to that question we get, like, how do we apply the scriptures in our life? In our day-to-day actions. Hey, we're getting it right here. So now we can replay scenarios. We got something to weigh against now, like, okay, I messed up the other day when, I was mean to that person who cut me off the line just because I had some attitude, when really they had more stuff to me anyway. You know what I'm saying? Or anything. Right? The brother called me the other day. I was short with him just because whatever. Or the sister called me the other day. I was short with her. Now we got something to weigh against. And now we know what you call the results of these actions. It's not just about being a good person. This is how we get healed. Go ahead.
We had Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 4. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, unto all that are carried away captives, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon.
Right. And this story right here is real key because this shows the level of faith that you have to have. Because you have some people who listen to this and some people who did not. And we'll explain more when we get deeper into the scriptures. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Build ye houses and dwell in them, and plant gardens and eat the fruit of them. Take ye wives and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there and not diminished.
Right, so this is the instructions what we're supposed to do while we're in captivity, mind you, in Babylon. This is ancient Babylon. But this is the instructions that the Most High gave us. Go ahead.
Verse 7, and seek the peace of the city whither I have caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto the Most High for it, for in the peace thereof shall ye have peace. Verse 8, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, let not your prophets and your diviners that be in the midst of you deceive you, neither hearken to your dreams which ye cause to be dreamed.
Right. And there's a lesson in there too, right there. Because the Most High has given us instructions. He's letting us know, hey, my word does not come back void, so you are going to go into captivity and to Babylon. But you know what? If you follow my instructions, I'll make sure you have peace there. But here's another thing. If you listen to these prophets that aren't sent by me to try to tell you smooth things, or try to divine something against my word, destruction will come. So what does that sound like? Something that Hebrews get blamed for a lot. That we just sit back and we, what they call it, the Kemet people be saying about us, with spooks or something like that. The Bible is spooky and we're in the spookism or something like that.
Spookism.
Yeah, spookism.
Yeah.
Because we just sit back and wait on something to happen instead of taking charge and fighting the man, right? No. The scripture said clearly, be at peace among each other. That's step one. Not try to rebuild Black Wall Street, right? Not try to build a secret army. Not try to follow the what you call the spook who sat by the door. Not try to follow that brother's protocol, right? None of that. Not to store weapons, grenades, and all this other stuff like the AHRAYAH did, and the Black Panthers. Not to try to get in league with the different parties and things like that. No, we want a different protocol, and it starts with Shalom. It starts with that. Go ahead,
Verse 9, for they prophesy falsely unto you in my name. I have not sent them, saith the Lord. For thus saith the Lord, that after 70 years be accomplished at Babylon, I will visit you and perform my good word toward you, in causing you to return to this place. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. Verse 12, then shall ye call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And ye shall seek me and find me, when ye shall search for me with all your heart.
Right, because check this out. Here's the thing. If we're on this whole black power tip, where's the Most High man? Right, nowhere. Exactly. Our energy is consumed in trying to fight this and fight that and combat this and counter that, instead of what it says. What it says, for I know the thoughts that I think toward you. No, excuse me. Then ye shall call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. He's not going to hearken unto us because we done,
United under black power.
yeah, united under black power, right? He's not going to come onto us for that. He wants us to seek. That's what he said, hey, just be still and learn how to come back to me. Be still in your enemy's land, in captivity, and humble yourself and learn how to come back to me. And that might sound very soft and docile, according to them. But that's strength and power. What's the old cliche? A man is strongest when he's on his knees, because he's on his knees praying. Hey, go ahead.
Verse 14, and I will be found of you, said the Lord, and I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations and from all the places whither I have driven you, said the Lord, and I will bring you again into the place whence I caused you to be carried away captive.
All right, let's get Isaiah 57 and 14.
We had Isaiah 57:14. Everyone have to say, "Con." And it shall say, cast ye up, prepare the way, take up the stumbling block out of the way of my people.
Right, and that's very interesting too. Take up the stumbling block out of the way of my people. That means something's going to happen where we can understand the message that he's trying to get through to us. Because what's our stumbling block now? Or what's been Israel's stumbling block? Christ. He made Christ to be a stumbling block. Because it's going to separate who's who. Go ahead.
Verse 15. For thus saith the Lord and lofty one that inhabiteth eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high and holy place. With him also that is a contrite and humble spirit. Now, really tune into these scriptures, starting at verse 15, about the type of person he's talking to right now. Go ahead, from 15 from the top. 15 from the top. For thus said the high and lofty one that inhabiteth eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high and holy place. With him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble, and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. For I will not contend forever, neither will I be always wroth. For the spirit shall fail before me, and the souls which I have made. Right, so the spirit of that, what you call that contention against the wicked ones, that's going to cease before the Most High. Just like I said, I will not always strive with man. All things come to an end. That's why I say don't tarry to come to the Lord. Don't stay in your lust and your covetousness and your wickedness. Because his mercy won't last forever. He won't contend forever with those type of people. Go ahead. Verse 17. For the iniquity of his covetousness was I wroth, and smote him. I hid him, and was wroth. And he went on forwardly in the way of his heart. Right. Totally blinded. Didn't even realize what was going on. Didn't even realize that he was rejecting the Most High. Go ahead. I have seen his ways and will heal him. I will lead him also and restore comforts unto him and to his mourners. But check it out. The Most High is going to flip it. He's still going to take his time to heal him. But it has to be work on that type of person's mindset too. Go ahead. I create the fruit of the lips. And that's key. I create the fruit of the lips. And Proverbs got some real deep scriptures about the fruit of the lips. Because the covetous man, the forward man, the prideful man will think the fruit of his lips is his own doing, his own wisdom. But no, the Most High created the fruits of our lips. So when we put our plans in action, get our minds focused and tuned in, locked in, and make things happen, the Most High was the creator of that. Go ahead. I create the fruit of the lips. Peace. Peace to him that is far off, and to him that is near, says the Most High, AHRAYAH, and I will heal him. But the wicked are like the troubled sea. Because it's one thing about, the covetous man, because he breaks it down. The contrite one and the humble. You don't just come out the womb humble and contrite. And you don't just come out the womb just for the wisdom. Something had to happen where you became wise. You become wise. You become humble. You become contrite. Come. So, the Most High working with you, brings you down, you get a heavy, contrite heart, a contrite spirit, a humble heart, humble spirit. That's when things start to happen. But, go ahead, verse 20. But the wicked are like the troubled sea, when it cannot rest, whose waters cast up mire and dirt. There is no peace, said the Most High, to the wicked.
So let's get Isaiah 54 and 5, and we're almost finished.
We still with the prophet Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 5. For thy Maker is thine husband, the Lord of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. The Most High of the whole earth shall he be called. For the Lord hath called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth. When thou was refused, saith the Most High. For a small moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather thee.
And that's deep. For a small moment have I forsaken thee. 2,000 years has been a small moment, right? But that gives us something to think about. Like, hey, if that's a small moment, how does that compare to eternity, right? Go ahead.
Verse 8. In a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, said the Lord of thy Redeemer. For this is as the waters of Noah unto me. For as I have sworn that the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth, so have I also sworn that I would not be wroth with thee, nor rebuke thee. For the mountains shall depart, and the hills be removed, but my kindness shall not depart from thee, neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, says the Lord that hath mercy on thee. O thou afflicted, tossed with tempest, and now comforted, behold, I will lay thy stones with fair colors, and lay thy foundations with sapphires. And I will make thy wheels of agates, and the gates of carbuncles, and all thy borders of pleasant stones.
Right, so this is pretty much saying, like, different stones. Like, we might not know these in today's terms, but this is all the different decorations, all the different pleasant stones that we'll see, like, with something that's decorated, made that beautiful again. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And all thy children shall be taught of the Most High, and great shall be the peace of thy children. In righteousness shalt thou be established. Thou shalt be far from oppression, for thou shalt not fear, and from terror, and it shall not come near thee.
Right, and that's interesting too, because Proverbs says a nation shall be established through righteousness. So let's get Ezekiel 37 and 21.
We had Ezekiel 37, 21. And say unto them, Thus saith the Lord our power, Behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land.
Right, and here's the thing too, because I was thinking about this earlier this week, or last week, whatever. When you analyze the land of Israel, how the rains and all these things, the land of pomegranates and all this, if you read Deuteronomy 8, I want to say 9, a little bit of 9, no, not 9, but Deuteronomy 8 and Deuteronomy 11, you see like how fertile the land is and how it wasn't too much work we had to do. And I was thinking about it, well, of course not. Because the Most High didn't give us that land so we could boast about it. He gave us that land so we could have time to serve Him. Right? So we got to kind of change the mindset. Like, we're not leaving wicked Babylon because they're so wicked and evil and I'm tired of, this, I'm tired of this. No, we're leaving so we can serve our God, so we can come back into our rightful role and position on how to serve Him and how to be the righteous judges of the earth. Come on. Let's get it.
Verse 22. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations, Neither shall there be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. Neither shall they defile themselves as more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their power. And David my servant shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd. They shall all also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them.
Right, and they shall have one shepherd, because remember, Israel was never meant to have a king, physical man king. The Most High was Israel's king. But this is what happens when you want, when you think the grass is greener on the other side. Because we read about our men, in Isaiah and Jeremiah, they led us astray. We had peace under the Most High. We had more peace in the wilderness, believe it or not. Go ahead.
Verse 25. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt. And they shall dwell therein, even they, and their children, and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever.
Right, and everybody understands what it means with David, right? Anybody kind of unclear about what it means by my servant David, will rule over them and things like that? All right, go ahead.
Verse 26. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them, and I will place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore. My tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their power, and they shall be my people.
Right. What we got? One more verse.
And the heathen shall know that I, the Lord, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore.
And that's deep too. That kind of makes me think of what is the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, when the nations will be so astonished because, of course, the people in our state, to get raised up to the level that we'll get raised up to, it will be some eyebrows getting raised. So it says, the heathen shall know that I, the Lord, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forever. Right? So let's get the commentary.
The commentary reads, the Most High scattered us into all nations through captivity, but laid out the blueprint of what we must do in order to be accepted back by Him.
Right, that's the blueprint. The law, faith in Christ, and start operating with each other. It's going to get more deep into it. Go ahead.
We must first learn to operate in truth and in peace in our own communities and neighborhoods toward each other. It seems we have no problem being this manner in some capacity towards the Gentiles, but towards each other, we deal very treacherously.
Right, and it says it seems we have no problem being this manner in some capacity towards the Gentiles, but towards each other, we deal very treacherously. Now, I remember I was in North Dakota. Right. And one of my supervisors was talking. He was like, yeah, I rode through Chicago one time, and the owner just looked at me, and he was like, man, you better get out of here. Just get your gas and get out real quick. And I probably shouldn't have said this to him. I'm smarter now to say this, not to say this to, because you don't want to throw shame on your own people, outside the nation. But I said to him, look, man, I can guarantee you was in the safest place in America. Why do I say that? You was not gonna get robbed. You was not gonna get. I've never seen a white man get robbed at a gas station. I've never seen a white man get shot at a gas station. I mean, you were safe. Trust me. You were safe. I have seen black folks get robbed, and I have seen black folks get shot, and that was it, right? So you see the mindset. We're ready to, we are nice to other nations. But that's that self-hate that we got to get over. Okay? Go ahead.
The Father also told us in our captivity to not only learn to be in peace towards those of our own nation, but learn how to be in peace with our oppressors so that we can be a light and testimony towards them. It will take a lot of humility to accomplish all of these things, but the Most High told us this would be the acceptable way to be redeemed back to Him.
Right. So, final round of scriptures, just some more things we could apply in our life. Let's get James chapter 3, verse 13. Yeah, so go ahead, man.
We have James 3 and 13. Who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness of wisdom. But if ye have bitter envy and strife in your hearts, glory not, and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish.
And why is it earthly, sensual, and devilish? Because it comes from that tree. Because think about it. The first thing that Adam and Eve did once when they ate from that tree is lie and go into deceit and start to use argument skills and things like that. They immediately reverted to wickedness. Immediately. Go ahead,
Verse 16. For where envy and strife is, there is confusion in every evil work. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy.
And that's key. Without partiality. Not being biased. Go ahead,
Verse 18. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace of them that make peace.
Right, let's get Romans 12 and 9.
We have the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 9. Let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil. Cleave to that which is good.
Right. And dissimulation. Right. Dictionary. The meaning. Concealment of one's thoughts, feelings, or character. Pretense. The word dissimulation implies that the wool is being pulled over someone's eyes, or they're being fooled or tricked by someone's deceit. Then, you know, when you got more results in Google, it says, where'd it go? Maybe it's at the bottom. No. I don't know where it went. Oh, this is it. Sorry. It says, what does dissimulation mean in the Bible? I just read it. It says, the word dissimulation implies that the wool is being pulled over someone's eyes, or they're being fooled or tricked by someone's deceit. So it says, let love be without dissimulation. Right? Go ahead,
Verse 10. Be kindly affection one to another with brotherly love, and honor preferring one another, not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Most High, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer, distributing to the necessity of saints, giving to hospitality. Verse 14. Bless them which persecute you, bless and curse not. Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. Verse 16. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to the men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits.
Right, and you know what this is called? It's called empathy. And empathy, if you don't know, it means, in plain English, being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Verse 17.
Verse 17. Recompense to no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head.
And remember, enemy And I'm gonna have to just make sure, and for the sake of this, just remember this time mark, cut it out. But because that enemy, is it talking about your enemy that's bashing you over the head, or the enemy, that's trying to accuse you and persecute you? Because I know somebody like Elder Bar did the same, like you charged and ready to go against somebody, and they immediately say, you know what, brother, you're right. You're like, oh, well, I had a whole speech ready for the person. I built up my case, like a lawyer and everything, So that's how you heap coals of fire on his head. I don't think you're gonna heap coals of fire on nobody's head with a sword in their hand when it's mid-air at you, right? Go ahead.
Verse 21, be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good.
So we're at Psalms 37 and 8.
We have the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 8. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. For evildoers shall be cut off, but those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be, yea. Thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth.
And, it seems like the word just keep coming up within the lessons and just among us, it's like balance. I've been hearing balance a lot lately, from some of the officers, from the Elder Bar, from the elders, but you gotta have balance, because it says the meek shall inherit the earth. They put this image out there like some Mother Teresa image, like we walking around with rags and soup cups and, just that whole thing. But then there's also the other end, the other extreme, like, war, right? But it has to be some type of balance. And I think we learned that balance through this lesson. That meek person is that humble person who humble themselves before the Lord and is humble enough and wise enough to be at peace with his brethren. Go ahead,
Verse 13, the Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. The wicked have drawn out the sword, and have bent their bow, to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be upright conversation. Their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken.
And that's deep. To slay such as be of upright conversation. That's the wicked. They can't stand upright conversation, so they will slay you, physically and mentally and spiritually. Why? Because they see you as the complete opposite of who they are. Final couple of scriptures. Let's get Matthew chapter 5, verse 2. Bringing it home with the Sermon on the Mount.
Everyone have it, say con. Matthew chapter 5, verse 2. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Verse 7. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see the Most High. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of the Most High.
And remember, I started off saying that when I read the scripture, blessed are the peacemakers, I had a completely different idea of what a peacemaker was before I started reading into this lesson and things of that nature. Because like I said before, I thought the peacemaker was the person who get rolled over like a doormat. Like, well, I guess I gotta be a doormat. No, that's not it. Given the context of why we do need peacemakers within our nation, given the history of our people, how we can become peacemakers and what's the benefit of being a peacemaker, how we obtain the wisdom on how to be a peacemaker, because we obtain the wisdom on how to be peace with the Most High first. So it's all these different facets that go into this one word, peacemaker. So blessed are the peacemakers. For what?
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of the Most High.
Right. Are you going to be the seed, the woman's seed, or the serpent seed? Go ahead.
Verse 10. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye, which men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake.
Why? Because we just read, David told us, they will slay those with upright conversation. Go ahead.
Verse 12. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you.
Right, so just real quick, you can write these down. 1 Corinthians 14 and 33, 1 Corinthians 14 and 40, and the author's going to read those real quick.
1 Corinthians 14:33. For the Most High is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints.
Right, and this world, this is what happens when it's led by men of the flesh. You get confusion, but the Most High is not the author of that. 1 Corinthians 14 and 40.
Skipping down to verse 40. Let all things be done decently and in order.
All right, final commentary, bring us home.
The commentary reads, living in and being at peace with all men is something we must master if we plan on making it to the kingdom.
And how Paul said, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but we want to strive for mastery. So this is what we might become masters in. Go ahead.
If we cannot put away the warring, strife, and envying, then we will continue to dwell in confusion and have no peace.
This needs to be the lecture for everybody who tries to break down black on black crime. We just need to just dish out this lesson. Oh, you want to do a lecture on black crime? Here you go. Because this is the root issue. Go ahead,
You do not fight fire with fire. Fire must be quenched with water, and evil must be overcome with good. If we are to be at peace even with our enemies, how much peace should we then have with those brothers and sisters in the body of Christ?
Right. So if we even want to go to the level of having peace with our enemies, right, then how much more should we strive to have peace within among ourselves in the body of Christ? Go ahead.
We say that we want the kingdom, but we must understand that through our meekness and surrounding ourselves with peace is the only way to attain it.
Right. Because guess what? They're not going to be up there. All right, brother. You remember 40,000 scriptures. You recited this and that, right? It's going to be your accounts of your day-to-day life. And that's why it brings even more understanding. Lord, haven't we prophesied in your name and cast out devils? Haven't we street preached every Saturday? Didn't we show up on time? Didn't we set up the chairs? Didn't we paint the walls? Right? Didn't we tithe? Didn't we give? Didn't we support anything we needed? When the brothers needed garments, we made garments. We needed the stage, carpeted, the skirt. We donated that. It needs to be washed. We took it home and washed it. We needed chairs. We donated funds for chairs. We picked up the chairs. We went and got to speak. All this stuff comes into it. But guess what? If you knock somebody over because you can't stand them while you're bringing in the speaker, it's all for naught. Go ahead.
We also say we are the children of the Most High, and if so then, let's seek to make peace and truth with those whom we know and encounter while there is still time to do so.
Oh, and I forgot this one. Didn't I teach? Right? Gotta throw myself in the equation. Didn't I teach and make sure the lessons were prepared? Right? We all in the same boat. Final words, which is fitting, right?
Be peaceable to one another. Shabbat Shalom.
Right. Shalom, right?
Really breaks my heart. Cause we've been lied to, misled for years, calling out to the Most High on this trail of tears. AHRAYAH.